Hello, so today we are going to learn about the setup. So if you want to do a chat app and to do this, to create a message and send a message to the user, today we are going to learn how to do that. In this screen here, what you can see is the chat messages that we create and the send icon. So today we are going to do a chat example, and here we have a list of trips as we have had before, and we have the trip details. Now, think that we want to create a chat for a custom trip. First, what we have to do is to create an action button for this. For this to happen, we need to add an action button here and to create and to add the chat icon. So basically what we will try to do is to create a chat for the current trip. In this button, we add the link to a new screen and get the chat template ready for us from Adalo. So whenever we click on this button here, it will send us to this new screen trip chat with a list. Now here we need to to make this a list of what? This will be a list of messages, and we don't have that, so we create a new collection, a collection of messages. A message will have the message itself, uh, the message text, and it will have the relationship with users, a one to a user, a sender can only, a message can have only one sender, and a sender can have many messages, and the receiver, message can have a trip can have many messages. A message belongs to one trip. Basically, this is the list that we do messages, current trip messages, and this will be current message text, because this will display the text of the message. We can add the send date, so current message, created date, or and we can display the sender's information as well. Current message created date and current message sender. Here on the send date, you can even make it relative or not. It doesn't really matter, but you can choose it as you like the format of the date. On the send button here, we create a message, because here is where we create messages. The message text will be from the input message that we have here, from the form input message text input, and keep in mind that this is a template that is made ready for us from Adalo, so it's easier. The sender is the login user, and the trip is the current trip. So we will have all the messages for this trip in this page. In this page. Now we can try to create uh, this by ourselves and to create a chat with users. So now I'm going to explain to you how to create a chat with other users. How can we create a chat with other users? A second, please. So now here in this home screen, we will have a list, a list of users, which we will try to select to, and with whom we want to start a chat with. So basically, a list of conversations with users inside. We will have a list of conversations, and here we can choose with whom we want to chat with, because this is a really used case scenario with the chat application where we want to chat with other users. And in this, we create a new collection, a collection of conversation. This conversation will have members. A conversation can have many members, but the members can belong to many conversations. We create another relationship to this conversation creator, which is the person that creates the conversation, or makes the first start for this conversation. And this will be the logged in user's conversation when he is a conversation member, because we want to see all the conversations that we create, but even the conversations that we are a member of. So you have to keep in mind that that is a difference between conversation member and conversation creator. Uh, we can modify this here with whatever we need, with a conversation name or conversation member, but without ourselves. So here we may need to add the the conversation participant user, but not ourselves, the other person which is in the conversation. There are several ways of doing this. You can make this a list of participants, or and then filter yourself out. So we can add an image to the participation members. Basically, this is what we will try to do now. We'll add the image of the other user, and we will add the name of that user in our application here. Um, you can do the rounding here, but make sure to have the size, width, and height in the same way. Now we select these two components and make this a list, and uh, a list of users, and this conversation participating users. Basic current conversation members, participating users, the same thing. And we add the filter here, and the filter will say that the email of this participating user is not equal to our email. And that way we can see all participating users or members, but not ourselves. Basically, the other person that we are talking to. So the email is not equal to logged in user email. We resize this a bit so it doesn't look this messy, and make it more centered, a little bit more centered. So it is visually appealing to us. And here on the name, on the title, we change the title to the current user, because remember we are inside the list now, inside the participate the members list, and current user full name. And now we go. This will show us uh, the name of the other user that is a participant on this conversation. The only thing that we are missing now is the profile picture of the user. So here we add the source of the image, current user profile picture. So we will have the profile picture of the other user that we are chatting with, and the name as well. So basically, inside this, just a second. Basically, now we are going to list to link this list to a new screen, and basically it will be the chatting screen that we will do. So every time we click on a user, then it redirects us to the chat where we can see the messages with that user. And here we create the collection with the messages as we did in the previous example. And in this message, we need the message text, we need the relationship with the conversation, because a conversation can have multiple messages, but a message belongs to one conversation. And we need the relationship with the user as well to know which is the creator of this message. And the user can have multiple messages, but a message can belong to one user, the sender uh, of that message. And basically here we display the message, current conversation messages, and the message text, the message input that we have here, which we collect from current message text, and send by the sender's full name and the date of the send message, current message created date in here. Um, and we add the actions as well in the send button. Here we create a message, and the message will have the message text from the input, from the form input below the message. We'll have the conversation, which will be the current conversation, and the sender's email, which will be the logged in user uh, in here. We can even add more stuff to it, but maybe we will uh, do it a bit later, because we can add different colors with regarding to who sent the message, and different displaying data from left to right, or whatever you like. And here we will have we will have an action button as well to link to new screens when we want to create new conversation with users, because sometimes uh, we want to go to a specific user and create that conversation. So let's add this action button, which will link to a new screen with this search. And here we will have a list of users where we can search users as well. And upon clicking on this user, we create a new conversation. So here we create uh, this list of user here. This list will be a list of users, and the search icon as well, the search input as well, where we can we can search for a specific user via their full name, or we can however we set it up. Now this will be a list of users, and it may be all users. We can add the filter to not see ourselves here, where the email is not equal to logged in user email, so we don't see ourselves. And for a more this is to not see ourselves and not to create a conversation with ourselves. And another filter that we can do is that um, current user conversations participating user does not contain logged in user. So we don't create a conversation with someone which we don't which we already have a conversation with. Here we add the filtering to get the user from the search input as well. So his full name can we can search for his full name here. So here we add the current user full name, and we can add a profile picture as well. Make the width and the size 30 30 30. So let's add an image for that. Just make sure that you have this image inside the list, otherwise you won't have the data for the for the image. And here on the data, we select dynamic data from current user profile picture. You can even select, if there's no image, you can add a default profile pic image, but that's up to you. That's up to you. What we care is the data to make the application work. Then the display part is easier. And we select these components together, and we make this a group. So whenever we click on this component here, we create a new conversation, and we create a conversation. We do the conversation name. We make the creator the logged in user. uh, Here we make ourselves name and the other user full name, so it's a conversation with my name and the other person's name. And we make the creator ourselves, and we don't have messages at the moment. And we update this conversation in order to add members. So inside this conversation, we add conversation members, add logged in user and the current user. Now we add the current user, we make another update because we can't do that in one go. So we have to make it create conversation, update conversation, and here we add the logged user. So both of us are now conversation members in this new conversation. And after that, what we need to do is to link this into the conversation screen where we can chat with each other, and it will link us to the screen that we just created earlier to show us the messages of this conversation. Here, this back icon will send us back to the home screen where we can go to the conversations, etc., etc. So there are different ways to do this kind of stuff. You can use buttons as well in someone's profile picture, but make sure that if you create a conversation with someone in the profile picture, make sure to have a button to create a conversation, and that button should be visible if we don't have a conversation with that person. And if you have a conversation with that person, just create a list which displays the conversation and make the list limit only one. That way, we don't create several conversations with someone, because that wouldn't be great. Now here we can add an icon and see if there is a new message from someone which we have not read yet. because sometimes it comes in handy to see if we don't, if we haven't read a message from someone, and we can have this icon pop up if we have a new message. Now, in order to do that, we have to create a we have to create a new collection called read statuses, and basically every time we send a new message, we will have a read status, and whenever we click it, we mark this as read. Inside this read status collection, we make a relationship with the users. We make a relationship with the conversation as well, um, in this collection. And when we create, you can see that it was added on the conversation collection, and here we create a new collection which is date time, and call it last message send date. Now we will make a comparison with last message send date and read status. That way we can check if we read the message or not. And here on the icon, we make it sometimes visible. And here we filter by current conversation. Read status is count, and we add a filter on this. If the count of read statuses is zero, of those read statuses, we search that the user email is equal to login user email is equal to zero, then this will be visible. And basically, if current starter user email is equal to login user email, and current read status created that is after current conversation last message send date, is it is going to be visible on our end. This gets a little bit messy and tricky, but basically you just have to think about it in this kind of idea, and that way you can implement the logic to be right. And if you do it wrong the first time or the second time, eventually you will get into it, and you will start to do it in the right way. Another thing that we have to do now for this to work is to create a read status every time we visit this conversation screen. So we go to, and there are different ways to do this, so keep in mind that you can do this in different ways, but basically here we create a read status and make the conversation current conversation, and the user current user. So it will be created a read status when we enter this chat screen, and that will mean that we have read the message on this the last message on this conversation. And we create a read status as well when we create a new message, and we make the creator logged in user and the conversation current conversation. So we create a read status when we send the message, and we create a read status when we visit the page as well. And then the filtering will check the conditions, and will see if we if we apply to this. Now, another thing that we need to do is to update this last message send date every time that we send a new message, because this is why what we will check. We will check if we have read statuses after the last message created date, and this is how we will check for this new icon to appear. So every time we create a new message, we update the conversation last message send date, and we create a read status as well that will pop up in our conversation screen every time we have a new message from the other user, because remember, we check the condition that the email of the user is the same as the logged in user email, which is ourselves. So this is something that you should keep in mind. Basically that's it about creating a chat app. What you can do is to create notifications. Whenever you send a message, you can create a notification, and this notification will be sent to the receiving user, to the other user. But basically, this is all that you need to do in order to create a chat application. Um, if you have questions, don't forget to message me or email me. But basically, this is all uh, you have to do to create a chat in low code, no code.